Excuse the pun, but Watford-based Rocket is blasting off. Having increased turnover by 25% in 2013, it's now on an upward trajectory. It's hiring new staff, increasing its factory space and buying new machinery. So I'm here at Mission Control with Commercial Director Antony Rider to talk about the company's rise and its vision for 2014 and beyond. Rocket's moving very fast, as we know. So can you tell us a little bit about its journey so far?
Well, yeah, Rocket started in 1995 as a specialist exhibition design business. It was set up by our managing director, Tim Porter, around the corner. Small turnover initially, 3,000 square feet premises. 2002, that went very well, small growth year on year. We bolted on a production facility with Oliver Bridgman, the minority shareholder, came on board, and from then on we've been in the guise that we're in at the moment. 2008 saw us move to this site, to 6,000 square feet, into one unit here, and we were sort of plateauing at about 2.8 million turnover a year, doing very well, thank you very much, but sort of plateauing at that. 2012 saw a decision to sort of try and break out of that 2.8 to 3 million turnover, where sort of limited profits, but it was just standing still. We wanted to sort of spread the risk of clients, perhaps a client going down or whatever, and just by some considered expansion. So by 2012, we'd actually done 3.2 million. Myself, middle part of last year, and a colleague, David Wicks, both having sort of PLC experience in the business, sort of came on board to strengthen the management structure here, bring some structure, some PLC structure, without changing the ethos of the business, which is very important, in a controlled way. And from that, we've had a very good year. The profits have gone very well with the turnover, increasing turnover, and we sort of forecast in 2014 a strong double-digit growth again.
Now, you actually brought forward your 2014 expansion plans because of that increase in turnover. Can you tell us a little bit about what those plans encompass?
Well, as I alluded to earlier, we're expanding on, first of all, machinery. When we saw the need last year for a wider format machine, 3.2 metre machine that can print both on roll-fed and sheet-fed, with flexible inks, quick curing capacity for the sort of work, quick turnaround work we're doing as well. So we invested in our first 3.2 metre EFI QS. We now want to get an upgrade on that and another one of those, so that we've got the same increased capacity with the same machinery, so that we can look at colour management across and quality across both machines. We're also increasing our Mamaki fleet, which is a slower machine, but by having quantity there, we can make up the imbalance of speed on that one. That also has its own cutting facility, which means that can operate, finish complete jobs, cut and finish, rather than using our Zund machine, which we just invested in as well. 2 years ago, we had very little mechanisation in the finishing department here. We had a traditional mount shop, so we decided last year to invest in a Zund cutter. Zund, luckily, are just around the corner from us as well in St Albans, so we get a good backup on that machine. We've also invested in an operator there who's come from the CNC side of the business, from the joinery side. So, looking at it holistically, not only are we cutting thin substrates, we're also cutting woods, acrylics, dye bonds, and what he will cut is quite infinite small shapes for the sort of retail work we do. So it's not only did we invest in the Zund cutter, we invested in someone good to work it, which means we've expanded what we can do and what the machine is actually. We bought actually the machine to do A, but found it doing B and C as well. So which has been very good for us. So we've invested in people. We've invested in 2 project managers as well. We've invested in two new salesmen. Also on the retail side, we saw that we needed to, in a controlled way, look at retail work we could do to spread out our output throughout the year, to plug holes perhaps where we were quieter as such. Also, in doing that, we've looked to youth. We've taken on apprentice both on the sales side and two young people in the production side, so that we can mould them in the way of Rocket, as it were, without brainwashing them. But we've actually tried the other route, but we actually found that to get young people that are keen and have the right stuff for us, as you were, happy to work the hours. Don't get me wrong, we don't work them like slaves, but they're willing to learn, take on very quickly, have there's limited amount of knowledge we need in the first place we don't just let them loose on the machines or whatever. So they learn under controlled environment. We give them some training as well, both off-site and on-site. And that's worked very well for us. And they will progress throughout the company if they want to progress. They can see that there is a future for them here, rather than just saying, you're stuck in that job for life, which is what Rocket is about, essentially. Going through all that is our commitment to quality. We've also invested in a new MIS system, which is ongoing at the moment. We've got a meeting next week on that. Because we're constantly looking at how we streamline our production as we increase our capacity, increase the people who are interacting with our production structure. So it's important we have a good MI system. We've just this week put a Caldera colour management system in across all our RIPs, which will streamline the work that goes through our studio into production out the door, so we can cope with our increased capacity. And also, adding to that, why we're here today is we're also investing in the brand of Rockets. The website has been upgraded. We've sort of gone along for the last 5 years, sort of been sort of under the radar as such. We're now sort of trying to say, well, actually, we're doing okay here. We're going to tell people about this. We see the opportunities for better sales opportunities and attracting staff through sort of making us known to everyone in the industry, as it were, rather than hiding our light under a bushel as such.
Can I ask how critical it is that you have increased turnover as part of your expansion plans? There are those that would argue that it should be about chasing higher margins.
I think we're acutely aware of that fact. I think what I would say to that is that the two are not mutually exclusive. The two almost go hand in hand. Historically with this business, as I said earlier, we've been stuck in a rut at around 2.83 million turnover a year on year, and making limited opportunity for same sort of profit every year. There are risks, of course, if a client goes down. By definition, a client could be a large part of that turnover. We've got an issue there. So by broadening our client base, we're bringing in more critical mass to sustain our overheads. Obviously, as we grow, we need to have the critical mass of turnover to feed that overhead. It's dangerous just to drive profit necessarily out of existing sales as well. You can only squeeze so much out of the people we had, and I think we have a good relationship, but we're always looking to make sure that our ratio of reliance on any one customer is low, so we spread the risk. It gives us a platform for growth. We're also then focusing at the same time on margins, both internally and externally, as we do that. We can't just throw more work downstairs and just hope it comes out with a lovely number. We have to be thinking about that before we get to the number, so that we know that what we get at the end of the month is there's no surprises there as such. We know what we're doing there. So essentially, we're de-risking the business by doing that, and that's really our vision for the future.
On your website, you say you concentrate on print production and implementation and leave things like brand strategy and the creative etc. to the customer. But increasingly, as printers are becoming solutions providers, more people are getting involved in that sort of creative customer space. What's your take on that?
We tend not to. Rocket are very happy to do what they do. They're very happy to be good at what they do and to be known for that. I suppose a large part of our clientele are agency based, and they don't feel threatened that we're going to invade their space as such. And I think the upside of that is they share information with us. Perhaps they give us a clear pipeline, whereas in the future perhaps they'd be more reticent to do that because they know that Rocket are ambitious, that we might start. I think we've always nailed ourselves to the cross and said, look, we're not going to do that. We're going to stick at what we're good at, and that's it. And we cherish a relationship, and we have to be trusted in this business to do what we do and say what we do, and not try and go beyond that. So that's quite important, and it's worked for us, and I think it'll work for us going forward. We have discussed this, but to change tack, I think now would be suicidal for us.
You offer project management and things like installation services as part of your services package. Can you give us some idea of what proportion of your turnover is non-print production related, and whether that's likely to change going forward?
Well, we've actually looked into this, and it's a steady 30% of our turnover, but we see that as a strength, not a weakness. There are some that say that the best job you can do is a print job that you just leave at the door and someone else picks it up and takes it out. But unfortunately, in our business, we have to install. That's the nature of the business as such, regardless. The two most important areas in the cycle of a job is actually taking a brief from the client, the interface with the client initially, be it over the phone, over the internet, or face-to-face. And the last part, which is installation on site. So we invest a lot of time on our install staff.
Now, Rocket currently specialises in things like the exhibition, events, retail markets. Are there specific areas where you see bigger potential growth, and are those being specifically targeted as part of your new expansion?
I think, drawing on what I've said earlier, I think we would like more of the same. Certainly we see in the experiential market that we're doing, specifically the sports branding side of the experiential market, it gives us comfort because we've almost got a pipeline. Although we never have a contract with any clients, we never sign. It's rare that we have a signed contract going forward. We do have a fairly clear pipeline of events for 2014 and 2015 coming up. You look at the sports calendar, we sort of know what's going on, major events or whatever, which will always have a spin-off of parts for us to get involved with, via directly or indirectly through sponsorship, through a range of clients that we currently have, and new ones. It also means we can target an event if we know we've already got a certain amount of work there. We can then target ourselves to getting more work at that event, spreading site costs, etc., on that. So I think we're client led. We're also client led by that, so that our key clients almost tell us in advance what there's likely to be coming up, which gives us some comfort to plan ahead as such.
Yeah. Your MD, Tim Porter, has gone on record as saying that moving forward, the biggest challenge isn't going to be about finding more work, but managing the growth of the business. Can you comment a bit upon that?
Yes, I mean, we're in the fortuitous position of, as I said earlier, having a pipeline for next year, even for sort of Q1 2014 and 2015, Q1, Q2, of being able to put in building blocks of events and projects already coming up that we know now that we're planning for. So the challenge will be to make sure if we do get a perceived pinch point in production, that we manage that with the systems in place now. And I think that's always an ongoing challenge for us. When historically, when there are key events throughout the year that conflict at the same time, that we have the right resource in place to manage that, and not any of which so far we've done thus, and we want to keep doing that with continued growth. So I think that's what he's alluding to there, and we're happy we've got the bricks in place to do that. You know, we've said in our e-brochure we recently put out that we've got the capacity to do 2,500 square metres a day, and often we do that, and day and night. So it's a matter of sustaining that and having the structure in place to deal with that.
So where do you think Rocket will be in 5 years' time then?
We're fairly modest there. I think we would like to see continued growth, consolidation, that it's done correctly, that we manage the business at all times. As I said, the margins internally as well as the growth. I think an interesting thing we discussed did come up this year. We're looking at strategic relationships and partnerships, perhaps globally, where opportunities, where obviously some of our work is abroad as well. So I think we would welcome the opportunity, as perhaps our profile has arises. That would certainly be something in the future we would look to.
And takeovers and mergers?
I think no. There's no hidden agenda here. You know. And that speaks from someone with PLC experience there, whatever. Without talking out of turn there, I think we're quite happy with the model where the company is at the moment.